Mark Yusko is raising the alarm because he thinks Ripple's X crop could be in grave danger. You need to know what's going on. If you own SPERP, you should know how laws, government actions, and institutional moves are going after cryptocurrencies and why X crop could be one of the main targets of this new crackdown. There's a lot at stake in Operation ChokePoint 2. There is a huge push to stop some crypto operations and stop people from getting into financial systems. This could cause grep holders a lot of trouble, and if you're not ready, you might lose a lot of money. How the market responds to these regulatory threats could have a huge impact on X-Crop's prospects. Operation ChokePoint 2 is going on. This is why X-Crop is in danger. This could have an impact on the cryptocurrency market. Operation ChokePoint 2 is a government plan to make it harder for some businesses to use financial systems. It is now focusing on the cryptocurrency market. During the first Operation ChokePoint, people who worked in high-risk industries like payday banking and gun sales were not allowed to get loans from the U.S. government. Now, Operation ChokePoint 2 is going one step further. It is going after cryptocurrencies and activities tied to them, with a focus on assets like X-Crop. The goal is to block digital assets and their users from banks, payment networks, and other financial services. This will stop X-Crop from coming up with new crypto ideas. It's especially risky because it's one of the most popular cryptocurrencies in the world, especially for international payments and business deals. If the government tries to fight back against SCRA by making it harder for it to access financial systems, this could have huge effects on both its price and its usefulness. To stop XRP from moving around in financial networks, the government could use tools like regulatory pressure, banking bans, and shutting down payment processors. In the real world, this makes it harder for companies and banks to use. What does this mean for people who own X-Crop? There is a real risk. The SEC has already taken legal action against Ripple, and if this new regulatory plan goes through, it could make things even less clear and limit the token even more. This kind of action could make it harder to buy and sell X-Crop, make prices more volatile, or even force markets to remove Scrop from their platforms, all of which would have a big effect on people who own X-Crop. How did Jarrett become one of the main points of this attack, though? It comes down to the SEC's ongoing lawsuit against Ripple and Ripple's growing role in the world's banking system. The government might think that XRP's rising popularity and its part in changing the way payments are made around the world could be bad for standard banking systems. That's why Operation ChokePoint 2 is now focusing on Ripple and Scrop, possibly to try to stop its growth and stop big companies from using it. Now that we know what Operation ChokePoint 2 is and why it's after X-Crop, let's look at what could happen to people who own X-Crop if this crackdown by regulators doesn't end soon. Let's look at what could happen to XRP and what you can do to keep your investments safe. If Operation ChokePoint 2 is successful in going after X-Crop, users of X-Crop could face serious problems. One of the effects that would happen right away is that the market would lose liquidity. It would be harder for regular people to buy or sell X-Crop if big markets were forced to take it off their lists. If people couldn't use big trading platforms, XRP would have a lot less liquidity. This could make the token more volatile and harder for the market as a whole to access. As it gets harder for platforms and banks to follow the rules set by regulators, XRP may not be used as much and its value may drop as traders move their money to other assets that are not as regulated. Less use of X by financial institutions is another possible result. Ripple has built a network of more than 300 banks, and a lot of them use X-Crop to make payments and get cash quickly across borders. Because of government rules, banks and payment processors might have to cut ties with Ripple and stop using XBuy. This could affect Ripple's whole business plan. This would really lower the value of XRP because it would lose its main use case in the banking system. This would make the token much less useful in the real world. Institutions might also lose faith in X-Crop because of this. Because of the lack of clarity about regulations, many institutional investors are hesitant to join the crypto market. Big companies would be even less likely to invest in or use X-Crop if Operation ChokePoint 2 succeeds in putting it in a legal murky area. Instead, they are moving their money to other digital assets that are not being regulated. This would be a huge setback for XCrop because it is dependent on support from institutions to grow and be used. What can people who own XCrop do about these risks? The first thing to do is to learn more. Keep up with changes in regulations and Ripple's legal fights. These will have a direct effect on your investment. Don't worry if you plan to hold on to XCrop for a long time. Even if there is instability in the short term, XRP's RPUs and widespread use around the world might help it handle this governmental pressure. But if you're a short-term trader, you should keep a close eye on how the price of XRP changes and be ready for more instability if Operation ChokePoint 2 gets worse. Adding other assets to your portfolio could be a good way to protect yourself from possible governmental setbacks. Finally, it's important to be ready for what you don't know. If Operation ChokePoint 2 keeps going after XCrop, and there could be big problems for the market. But because Ripple has ongoing relationships and XRP has a main purpose, the token may still have a bright future, even though there are regulatory hurdles. Let's look more closely at what people who own XCrop can do to stay safe and maybe even make money during these rough times. In the face of Operation ChokePoint 2, what can people who own XCrop do to protect their investments? The truth is that getting ready and being aware are the most important things in this uncertain regulatory situation. First and foremost, it's important to keep up with changes in the law, especially when it comes to Ripple's ongoing case with the SEC and any new steps taken by regulators against XCrop. It's very important to have a reliable source of information because the crypto market changes quickly and new cycles start up quickly. Always believe what reliable sources say and keep an eye on how governments and banks react to these regulation pressures. If you've had XCrop for a long time, you might want to think about how much risk you are willing to take now. Uncertainty about regulations means there will be times of instability, but XRP, which is used all over the world for cross-border payments and its partners' relationships with big banks, could make it strong in the long run. Don't freak out. Instead, keep your mind on the basics. XCrop is still one of the most popular cryptocurrencies in the world, and more institutions are supporting it. As Ripple continues to move forward with new ideas and partnerships, the best way to deal with volatility is to be patient and think about the long run. But if you trade for a short time, you'll need to be extra careful. The market may become more volatile over the next few months, so it's important to keep a close eye on the news for any changes in rules or market mood. Price changes quickly, so be ready for them. To protect yourself from sharp drops, you might want to set up stop losses or take gains. It might also be a good idea to spread out your investments, especially if you're worried that XCrop will run into problems with the government. Putting your money into a variety of assets can help lower your risk while still letting you benefit from XCrop's possible upside. Another option is to look at other cryptocurrencies that might not be as affected by steps taken by regulators against XCrop. For example, Ethereum and Bitcoin have strong bases because a lot of people use them, so they're not likely to be looked at as closely. By mixing your